Most people believe a bottle of shampoo is something modern life simply cannot survive without. They assume clean hair requires chemistry, foam, and a plastic bottle from a factory. But for centuries, an entire continent washed its hair, its clothes, even its finest tapestries, using something that grew wild by the roadside. In the lab. No factory. No plastic. Just one plant, one bucket, and a little water. And the strangest part is, almost nobody remembers its name. You've probably walked past it. Maybe even pulled it out of a garden bed and threw it away, thinking it was just another weed. It wasn't. It was, quite possibly, the last bottle of shampoo you'll ever need to buy. Every year, the average household empties dozens of plastic bottles into the trash. Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, each one full of synthetic detergents designed to strip natural oils, then convince you to buy something else to replace them. It's a cycle built to keep you buying. The label on the back rarely tells the whole story. Sulfates. Congratulations. Fragrance blends nobody can quite define. Most of us just trust the bottle. We assume if it's on a shelf, it must be fine. But the truth is simple, and a little uncomfortable. These products aren't designed to last, or to heal anything. They're designed to run out. For generations, people didn't need to decode any of it. They didn't need a label, because they grew their own answer. Literally. In gardens. In pots. Sometimes in nothing more than an old wooden bucket by the kitchen door. Grandmothers passed the habit down without ever writing it in a book. It was just something you did, the way you tend to fire or draw water from a well. That knowledge wasn't lost because it stopped working. It was lost because it stopped being profitable. Somewhere along the way, a plant that costs nothing was replaced by a product that costs something every single month. And most of us never noticed the trade. We call it progress. But it might just be forgetting, dressed up in better packaging. And forgetting has a cost. Not a dramatic one. Nothing you'd notice in a single month. Just a slow, steady drain on your wallet and on the shelf space under your sink. The plant is called Saponaria officinalis, although most people who grew it never bothered with the Latin name. They called it bouncing bet. Sometimes, just the soap plant. It isn't exotic. It isn't rare. It grows almost anywhere with a little sun, and it barely asks for attention. The secret isn't in the flowers, though they're a soft, delicate pink that opens in early summer and fills the air with a faint, sweet scent at dusk. The secret is underground in the roots, and just above them in the leaves. Inside both, there's a natural compound called saponin. The name isn't a coincidence. It comes from the same root word as soap itself. When saponin meets water and a little agitation, it does something almost nobody expects the first time they see it. It foams. Real, soft, genuine lather, from a crushed root and a cup of warm water. No factory involved. No synthetic foaming agent required. Just a molecule the plant has been making, quietly, for longer than shampoo has existed. For hundreds of years, this exact plant washed raw wool before it became yarn. It cleaned antique fabrics too fragile for anything modern. Weavers in medieval Europe relied on it to clean fibers without damaging the delicate threads. Textile workers called it, simply, the washing herb. And yes, it washed hair. Gently. Without stripping it bare. Museums still use it today, quietly, on textiles too valuable to risk on synthetic detergent. Conservators trust a plant over a laboratory formula. Think about what that actually means. If it's gentle enough for a 400-year-old tapestry, it's more than gentle enough for your scalp. There's something almost funny about it, if you think about it long enough. The same plant trusted with priceless museum pieces has been sitting unnoticed, in backyards and roadside ditches this entire time. Nobody saved it. Nobody patented it. It just kept growing. And unlike most things that actually work this well, it never needed a marketing campaign to prove it. That alone should tell you something about what it's capable of. Here's the part that surprises people most. Saponin doesn't clean the way commercial shampoo does. It doesn't rip the natural oils out of your scalp the way sulfates do. It works more gently, lifting dirt and buildup while leaving behind the oils your scalp actually needs to stay healthy. That's why people who switch to it often notice something unexpected. Less frizz. A calmer scalp. Hair that feels less like it was scrubbed, and more like it was simply quietly cleaned. Some people even notice their hair holds moisture longer, because nothing forced it dry in the first place. And growing it isn't complicated. This isn't a plant that demands a garden or years of patience. A single bucket, filled with ordinary soil, placed somewhere it catches a few hours of sun, is enough. The roots spread, but the bucket keeps them contained. Which is actually ideal, because in open ground, this plant spreads further than most gardeners want. It's the kind of plant that, left alone, quietly takes over a corner of the yard within a couple of seasons. In a container, it stays exactly where you put it. Ready, whenever you need it. Cut a few leaves, or lift a small piece of root. Crush it. Steep it in warm water for a few minutes. The water turns cloudy, then faintly foamy. That's the shampoo. That's the entire process. No boiling for hours. No chemistry. No waiting for a delivery truck. Just a plant, doing quietly what it has always done, long before anyone thought to bottle it and sell it back to us. You don't need a greenhouse. You don't need special fertilizer or a watering schedule pinned to the fridge. A little neglect, honestly, seems to suit it just fine. Some people keep 2 buckets going at once, one growing, one resting, so there's always a fresh batch of roots ready whenever the last jar runs low. Once it's established, it more or less takes care of itself, asking for almost nothing in return for what it gives back. Somewhere between convenience and forgetting, most of us stopped looking at plants as anything more than decoration. But this one bucket, sitting by a doorstep, holds something an entire industry spent decades trying to make you forget. A plant that doesn't need a factory. A routine that doesn't need plastic. A version of clean that existed long before shampoo aisles ever did. Grow it once, and something odd tends to happen. You start reaching for the bottle a little less. Then, eventually, not at all. Your bathroom shelf gets a little empty. Your trash gets a little lighter. And somehow, your hair doesn't seem to mind at all. The strangest part isn't that it works. It's that it always did. For thousands of years, this was simply how people stayed clean. Not as a trend. Not as a lifestyle choice. Just as a fact of daily life, as ordinary as boiling water. The only thing that changed is that we forgot to ask. Somewhere, in a garden nobody's trending anymore, it's probably still growing. Waiting. Maybe by an old fence line. Maybe at the edge of a field, mistaken for nothing more than a weed, exactly the way it has always been. It doesn't need us to notice it to keep working. It never did. But once you know what it is, once you've seen that first bit of foam rise in a bowl of warm water, it's hard to walk past it again without stopping. All it's asking for is a bucket, a little sun, and someone curious enough to remember what it's for.